Hi everyone, it's Kelly here. It's been forever since I've done a video, so I thought I would just sit down and start going blah. Um, where to begin? I am 49 years old. I transitioned from male to female a little over 2 years ago, and I've been on estrogen and spironolactone for 2 years, actually this past month, and now I've just started taking progesterone as well. And so, yeah, I guess this is 2 year update. I guess after HRT, I guess you could call it that. Um, Life is really good. Life is good. It's uh, it's interesting because I haven't wanted to make a video for quite a while, and the reason for that is because part of me just wants to go on and live my life, and I don't want to hash over what was or where I came from or the fact that I'm transgender. I mean, I wish I would have been born in the right body, but honestly, nobody sees me anything other than a female, and that's the way that I prefer it. I don't want to be out in the public and standing up for trans rights or anything else. And I'm wishy washy on that because one day I will, and the next day I won't. And it's hard, it's tough. I don't know if everybody feels that way, but I'm halfway through my life. I'm not in my 20s or my teens. Um, I had a really good transition. A lot of people who love me in my life. I'm still very much happily married to my wife. Turns out that she ended up being a lesbian in the end. We've been married for 17 years now, and oh my God, I love that girl. When when we figured out that I was transgender, it was quite late in life. I was 46, and we had watched HBO's A Trans List. And the only reason we were watching is because we didn't understand what transgender was. And one of our kids' friends were transgender. And so we wanted to educate ourselves. And boy, did we ever educate ourselves. It answered a lot of questions that were going on in our lives with me, and why I was miserable all the time, and why I never liked dressing up to go out anywhere with anyone, and why I was such a loner. And it was just so eye-opening. But long story short, I had gone through quite an ordeal for a couple of days, and she sat down with me and said, hey, like, what do you want to do about this? And I said, well, if I had been born in the right body, I mean, that's ideally what would have been my choice. And she says, yeah, but you weren't. And, like, what do you want to do? And so long and short is that she gave me her blessing to transition. And afterwards, we found out that, or I found out that the reason why she actually did that is because she knows me better than I do. And I told her, I said, I could go another 45 years. And I mean, I've been in this body for 46 years. What's another 45 more, right? Take it up to the end and I'd be just fine. And she knew better. She knew that I wouldn't be able to do that after figuring out that I was transgender. So we found a doctor who got me onto HRT, got set up with psychology, got into family counseling, went through all the hoops. And the interesting thing is that the more I transitioned, the more she loved me. And that's a beautiful thing for me. It's hard for me to talk about that in the transgender community because so many people that isn't the case. And we figured out that I'm much happier in this body, and so is she. She actually figured out that she was lesbian as I transitioned through. And um, something that she told me here a few weeks ago is that when I married you because of your heart. And she said, your body was okay. But she said, now, oh my goodness. And that blesses me so much. I wish that was everybody's experience with transitioning, but unfortunately it's not. Um, let's see, what else? What else is new? We're in the middle of COVID right now. So depending on when you watch this video, it was shot, what is it today? September 27th, I think, of 2020. And COVID is where right smack in the middle of everything. It's been going on for a good 6 months now since the countries have all been shut down. And yeah, it's been interesting because you can't see doctors. Our surgeries dates are all locked up. I'm waiting for an orchiectomy, and I'm also on the waiting list for GRS in Montreal. And everything is just on hold. And it's interesting because with the orchiectomy, the waiting list was like 2 to 3 months, and it's been 14 months now since I had made the application and had the referral from my family doctor. So yeah, so much for short wait lists. But one thing at a time, and everything happens in the universe for a reason. And this is no different. So I'm not going to stress over it. I'm really enjoying the ride. There's so many people out there who just want to get from point A to point B. And I realize that at this late in my life, I don't want to rush things. I mean, I've got the rest of my life to be who I am. The hardest thing was the first few months of transitioning. I went cold turkey. A lot of people, they like to be on hormones for a while, stay in the role that they've been in for so many years, and then slowly pop out one day as their chosen gender. Audrey and I looked at it and we said, no, if we want to fast track everything through the medical system, we need to go cold turkey on it. And so, literally overnight, even before hormones, I started dressing the part and I started working toward it. And from that day forward, we started telling people and we started coming out to them. And everything was said and done within 6 months as far as everybody knowing. Um, Passing grade, I would say probably 8 months to a year. Um, when somebody questions your gender in public, it's known as clocking. If anybody who's not transgender is watching this, and it's been a very, very long time since I've ever been clocked. About that 8 month to 1 year is when it stopped. But before that, I was very lucky to have my wife along with me everywhere I went. Um, the bathrooms, yeah, bathrooms are always an issue. Even now, I mean, it's been 2 years since I've transitioned, and I still don't like using public restrooms. If there's a family room where it's a single stall and you can lock the door and just be in by yourself, I would so much rather appreciate that and use that than go into public restrooms. Um, but yeah, what else? Um, Sizing. So what's really cool is my body wearing clothes. We have this thing in our family, and what we do is every spring and every fall, we take our clothes in and out of the closet, pack them away, and we have basically a new wardrobe for the season. So we have basically spring and summer, fall and winter. And it's interesting because you kind of think that most of the changes happen within the first year, but clothes that I was wearing 6 months ago no longer fit me the same way. And for an example, Lululemons. Last year, or last winter wearing a pair of Lululemons. I didn't feel comfortable because they just, I feel like I'm quite broad in the shoulders and quite small in the hips. And Lululemon is made to enhance that hourglass appearance that most women have. And the interesting thing is that now I pulled out my Lulus and put them on, and oh my God, I look completely different than I did, back in March or February. And I don't feel changes going on with my body, but boy, they sure still are. So 2 years later, and there's still changes that are happening. And the first year, people see some of the major ones: breast development and softer skin and the higher cheekbones and that sort of thing. But you kind of forget about the hips because they don't really happen. And for me, I found that that was probably around that year and a half mark was when they started to fill out. And I'm loving where I'm at now. Um, what else is new and exciting? Gosh, um, lots of support from mostly friends, still struggling with family. Um, I'll be honest, friends are a lot easier to come out to and are much more accepting than family are. And I don't know if that's everybody's experience, but that was mine. Um, yeah, we had to walk away from family on Audrey's side, all family. And me being transgender was just part of it. It wasn't the whole thing, but it was part of it. And on my side, I'm still struggling after 2 years with my parents. I don't know if they'll ever come around. My mom probably would. My dad, he'll go to his grave with not seeing me as who I truly am. Um, with my siblings, I really won't get into it with them, but they're tolerant, I think would be a good way to describe it. Trying to understand that they're struggling, and I guess you have to let people be where they're at. And one of the things that Audrey and I did before I transitioned, actually before we transitioned, because it really truly affects everyone in your relationship. So your kids, your spouse, you, your work, was we sat down and we said, okay, what happens if things go south? What happens if this doesn't turn out very well? Are we willing to walk away from our business, walk away from our friends, walk away from our family, walk away from our acreage because we may not be accepted in our little country town? And there's a lot of conservative people that live around here who may not necessarily like changes like this happening. And when we made peace with all of that and we said, this is much more important than even family, and we would be willing to walk away from anybody who didn't support us, then coming out to people became much, much easier, and transition in general became easier. Because we're self employed, we weren't sure. We own a company called riverstonenaturals.com, and and we weren't sure what was going to happen with our clients. But because we're self-employed, I guess it made it a little bit easier, because if we did lose some clients on one side of the fence, people who knew that we were LGBTQ plus, um, and supported that, you know, we would end up picking up more clients. So it's hard to measure if we had lost anyone or gained anyone. But our sales have been pretty consistent even through COVID. So I think we're okay. Um, Friends, we've lost a couple along the way, and there's the odd one that we physically said goodbye to, and there's a few that just stopped calling and stopped coming around. And again, you have to let people be where they're at, and that's okay. You can't expect anybody to just embrace or accept who you are. I mean, they've got their own crap to deal with in their own lives. And family, I've never wanted to walk away from anybody, but I came darn close this last summer. I came really close. There was a little bit of a fight that was going on, and I won't get into it. But family's hard to deal with, and to have that option of walking out is a really good one because it keeps you a little bit better in control, and you don't get pigeonholed into the same the same, not lies, but the same thought pattern that kept you in the wrong body to begin with all of these years. Anybody who transitions later in life, I mean, what ends up happening is you end up figuring out early that you're in the wrong body, and you may not necessarily know the name for it or know what to do about it, but you know at an early age that you're in the wrong body. And that I'm no exception. I mean, by the time that I was 5 or 6 years old, I mean, I was wanting to dress in mom's clothes and wear her shoes, and I was going through my sister's stuff all the time, and they were scolding me to stay out. And um, I was playing with Barbie dolls, and all of those things, I mean, got me into a lot of trouble at home. So you learn early that you just that's this is right and that's wrong as far as your family is concerned. Then you end up going to school and you find out really quick. Um, I mean, if you're in a male body and you act girly, then it gets you in trouble. Not so much with teachers, but definitely with your peers. So again, you put on that mask and you just keep silent and you keep going through life. And then you get into your 20s, and well, everyone else is getting married. And so, regardless of who you're attracted to or anything else, you do what you're supposed to do, and you keep doing what you're supposed to be doing all through your life. And it wasn't until I actually physically transitioned that I figured out how friggin' miserable I've been my entire life. I used to struggle. I used to do self-help things all the time. I mean, I've read every single book and audiobook out there and watched Tony Robbins till the cows come home, and honestly, none of it worked. It's all crap. Um, I spent my entire life trying to be happy, and the cool thing is that after I transitioned, I mean, I wake up and I'm just happy. That's the difference. Is that there was one point during the transition where I literally one day I just stopped in my tracks and I said, "Oh my God, this is what everybody else in the world feels like all the time." And it was so foreign to me because I felt peaceful. And was I happy with my looks? No. Was I happy with my hairstyle? No. Was my body hurting that day because of my back or sore arm or something like that? Yes. Was there work to be done? Yes. But no matter what stress was happening in life, I mean, it was easy. Before being in the wrong body, it was just so hard. Like everything was monumental. Getting up in the morning was monumental. And at no, well, there wasn't one point that I was suicidal in my life, but that was a business deal gone bad. And and yeah, I was trying to figure out a way out of it, and I went through a rough spell that for a while. But other than that, like suicide has never been an option for me out. I was just miserable, and I thought I'll just be miserable for the rest of my life, and maybe in a next lifetime I'll come back and I'll be in the right body. And that's literally how I've seen myself my entire life for 46 years. And then when I transitioned, and like I said, it was probably about a year down the road, and when I had passability, and I was just feeling good, having the right hormones going through my blood, and feeling good in my own skin. And I just literally woke up and said, "Oh my God, this is what it feels like to be normal." And when you don't experience normalness and you don't know what normal actually is, it's humbling. It really truly is. Because there's a lot of people who are born in the right bodies who take that for granted. I mean, everybody's got their own crap and everybody's got their own burden to carry in life. But I'm glad that I don't have that one any longer. I don't know how many more videos I'm going to do. I mean, I don't know what else I can talk about, but if you guys have any questions on transitioning, um, whatever they may be, I mean, just give me a shout, reach out with comments here on YouTube, and I'll gladly answer anything that you want to know, as long as it's not too intimate. Um, but yeah, I love you guys so much. And hi to all my trans sisters out there. And thank you for all of the hard work that all of the activists are doing. And it's because of those people that went before me that I was able to do this now at this point in my life. And I'm still active and I still am part of the LGBTQ family of support. Um, but I'm just not out there as much as I used to be. And I don't know if anyone else can relate to that, but hopefully so. If you can, give me a shout. I want to know that I'm not the only one here. So, you guys take care. Love you all very much. Bye.